Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be showing you how to replace this old Goodman furnace with a new Blue Ridge furnace by Alpine Home Air. And we're going to be doing some upgrades like this flexible gas line, our flexible vent hose, and we're going to be upgrading the filter rack as well. What was here was not really filtering well, and it was kind of a pain to change the filter. He said he had to kind of bend it a little bit, so the new filter is much easier, and we're going to walk you through this whole process from start to finish and show you exactly how to do it. All right, so before we get started with this, what we want to do is make sure that our power is shut off. So we're going to go over here to our electrical box. We have the breaker turned off. And if you're uncertain which breaker goes to this, you can use, we'll show you how to use a hot pen in just a moment to make sure that everything is dead. We're going to shut off our gas. And then this part is pretty basic. We're just going to remove the venting, PVC, disconnect the gas up to this point, and we'll show you how to make sure everything is dead. Everything here is just mechanical, just removing screws and stuff to get it free, and then we'll figure out a way to suspend this coil once we get to that point. So we're going to start dismantling, and we'll come back once we've got some of these parts removed. Now, another thing that makes this one easy is we have this MC cable that goes up to our switch here. So we're not even going to worry about doing anything with a switch. We just have to disconnect this here. Of course, we're going to make sure that's dead, and then it'll make this process a bit easier. All right, so we have this front cover taken off, and we're just going to verify that we don't have any power here. So first of all, what we're going to do is take this and just make sure that it does work. So we can also turn the sensitivity up on this, and then we'll go over here and just make sure that we have no juice. So we're good to go ahead and disconnect this and remove it. We have our gas line removed, our condensate, and that's where we're at. Okay, so down here at the bottom, we can see how nasty this is inside of here. We're going to mitigate that with our new filter rack. And as you can see, this one just hasn't been doing a fantastic job. You can see it's not terrible, but I've definitely seen worse, but it is pretty dusty in there, and all of these components have a little layer of dust on them. So what I wanted to mention here is we have our thermostat wires here from the condenser. These are the two wires that go to the condenser. That's typically going to land on Y and C. And then this white loom here goes up to the thermostat. So all I recommend doing here is just take a little video, take a few pictures before you disconnect this. That way you know you're connecting it exactly to the same, the right terminals on the new furnace. All right, so here's where we're at. And I just want to give you a real idea of what's gonna happen if you try to tackle this. So we had brackets here holding the coil to the furnace on both sides and the back side. So we're kind of in a dilemma here where we have to either remove this whole return, or what we decided to do is disconnect it up here, take the front panel off of this coil. And we found that whoever installed this before also left a big, could have a lot more airflow there, but none of this was sealed. So we're just going to slide this whole furnace and coil out as much as these lines will allow us, since we'll just come straight out this way, disconnect that in the back, and then we can slide our new furnace in. So once we have this slid out a little bit, we'll show you where we're at. All right, here's our new furnace. This is a 21-inch width Blue Ridge furnace from Alpine Home Air. Really nice quality and really nice packaging. So we're gonna get this prepped. So we're gonna cut a big hole here for our new filter rack. And because of size restraints, we're gonna be just doing a 1-inch filter rack instead of a 4 that we normally do. But we'll show you through that whole process of how to add a nicer filter rack. All right, so we got our furnace laying on our side with our filter rack. This is that 1-inch filter rack, so it just has a little door here. So we're just going to trace this out, and then we're going to be using a taper drill bit like this one right here, as well as the Malco turbo shears, and that's going to make this job really easy. Easy as that. So we got our hole. Okay, so due to size restraints, left to right, we're gonna leave this filter rack off and we're gonna put it in. We just did a test fit to make sure that it would fit. And we're gonna slide the old furnace out and immediately put the new one underneath it, and then we'll show you what that looks like. All right, so we've got our new furnace here, and it's 33 inches from bottom to top, and our old furnace is 39. So this coil is actually gonna drop quite a few inches, about 4, 5, 6, 7 inches or so. So thankfully we have the wiggle room here with our line set, and then we'll just build a wash or a transition from the new coil up to this box here. So what we're gonna do is slide this furnace out, and one of us is just gonna hold this in place. If you didn't have a second person, you could throw a ratchet strap around this and tie it to the joist there. Okay, so we've got our new furnace. We just have the coil suspended. I'm holding it up. And because the old furnace fins on the side were bent because of the bracketry on the bottom of this coil, we're having to bend these over with our flat bill tool, and that makes it nice and easy. So we'll throw some silicone on this surface, slide it in, and then that will seal to our coil. And then we should be good to go. All right, so we got our furnace in place, and we also have the sides taped in addition to the silicone, just so that this doesn't move around while we're building this wash, and everything should be sealed up. We'll put a bead of silicone up here in the front as well. All right, so we're gonna be using the transition kit from Alpine Home Air. This is a really nice kit. These are about 24 inches long by maybe 16 inches wide, or tall rather. And they're very versatile. And then it also comes with all of these S-clips cut to the same length, as well as zip screws and a bit. So really nice kit from Alpine. So make sure and grab one of these if you're gonna be replacing your system. All right, so up here, we've got our first transition, the back piece put in place. And I just wanted to kind of show you how this works. So obviously you need S on the top side, and then we just screw it into the coil itself. But this is the transition kit from Alpine. So we just used our bar fold. So the smaller end here, slid it onto this edge and made a 90-degree bend. That way when we install this like this, we have something to run our screws in right in this 1/4 inch slot here. Then we're going to cut this to length on the top, depending on what the measurement is from your furnace to your, or from your coil to your ductwork. And then you can just hold this up in place, and you can trace exactly where you need to make your transition cuts this way. And then what we're working on right now is we're gonna put the S-clip on the back side there so that it will accept the next piece, and then we can continue with our next 2 sides. So we basically just do that until we have all 4 sides. And then before we put this last piece on, we'll make sure and seal everything so it's nice and sealed. Okay, so I'm actually inside of the furnace right now. So we managed to slide out the blower, and all we're doing is just going through and bending all of these in. And that's how our return is going to attach. And then once we have this fully secured, we're then going to make sure our return is in place, and we're going to try and bend these other ones over. And it's possible we'll have to cut these the same as the other side, but we'll see what works out here. All right, so here's where we're at, guys. We got our transition. We've got everything sealed inside. We're just gonna tape that up. We've got all of the returns sealed up. Our filter rack is fully done. So we have our door, and then this will just slide out. Super easy, way easier than what was there before. It used to have like this weird slant one, and I don't think it was filtering very well. So that's gonna be a nice upgrade. We're just working on our electrical. So we're gonna reattach this, and it's just gonna go in right there on our electrical connection, and that should be super easy. Basically just wire nut those together there. And then our thermostat wire is going to come in through the upper portion because of our filter, and then it's going to go in through here and attach to our board. And then after that, We're ready to put our cover back on. We just have our flex vent and our gas, and that's pretty much it. So once we get this electrical wrapped up, we'll come back and show you what that looks like, but we're on the home stretch here. All right, so here's where we're at. We got our thermostat wires connected, so this bottom cover is ready to be put on. We're working on our drip leg for our gas line. So we just have a little drip leg there, and then we'll have a flex connector that will go to here, so that any sediment that should come out of there will land here, and this should be cleaned every so often. And then I believe this front cover can be put on, and the last thing we'll be doing is our exhaust venting. All right, so this is called a draft hood connector, and the purpose is it goes over the vent there, and then this B vent will snap into place. But before we attach that, we need to get this where it's going to go. So I just wanted to show you how easy this is to bend. And if we need to make this shorter, we can do that, no problem. Except I want this to be more off of the refrigerant lines here. I think that should be good there. So we're just going to take this off. Pop it into these grooves here. There we go. Okay, so that slips in. It's gonna go all the way and then twist to the right, and that's gonna lock it in. Just like that. Perfect. Then we can just put 3 screws in here, and that will be complete. All right, guys, we have everything finished up here. We're about to fire this unit up. So our filter rack is done. Our flex vent is done. That was all super easy. We just had 2 couplers to reconnect our condensate drain for the AC. And then we've got our flex connector here for our gas. We did a sniff test to make sure there's no leaks there, and we're good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this dude on, bump it into heat mode, and see what we got. All right, looks like it's already calling for heat. It's a little bit chilly out. It's 49 degrees outside today. So pop this front cover off and check out the flames when this fires up. Okay, we got our hot surface igniter going there. Reducer is nice and quiet. Looky there, nice blue flames. You'll have a little bit of orange just when this initially starts up, and it will burn off stuff that's in the heat exchanger and around it. You'll also get a smell. Sometimes it'll trigger the smoke alarms. That'll dissipate after the first hour or so of running, and everything's running good. We're going to check our gas pressure here, make sure it's 3.5 inches water column, and then we'll check our airflow and make sure everything is good to go there. Well, guys, this job turned out really nice. We are completely wrapped up with this. Everything is running perfectly. Nice blue flames. Our gas pressure is good, and we have nice temperature rise at our vents. One thing I wanted to mention, we're not doing the AC side of this on this particular application, but if we were, a company that I've been recommending is AbilityRefrigerants.com. You can have that refrigerant shipped right to your door, and you can get small quantities like a 2-pound bottle, and they have really fast shipping, so you can top off your AC and you're good to go. I hope you learned a thing or two from this video, and until next time, you guys be safe. Later.